Understand this river of fog flowing off the dais. It sounds like a memory of a buried phantasm. It sounds like a voice of an ant as it inches across the world, listening to the earth, comprehending wolf howls and earth tears. Adama cries out in groaning ticks. The rocks are alive. The soil is alive. The air is alive. The moon is alive. The cosmos is alive. The Big Bang exhales. It wails in loud yowls of electronic noise. The dirt wants us to understand that the mother is present. The people before Caucasian-centric thought infected them with viral lies and empty myths knew this instinctively. Hello, Viola. This wisdom could be heard in the opening of a morning flower. It could be heard. It could be. That was no continuity between that paragraph. I'm sorry. This is weird. Anyways, hi. I'm Bill, 999 Show, and I'm doing some outdoor streaming. Eventually, I'm going to be doing some outdoor painting. This is what I look like, just some random old guy sitting outside, 9 o'clock at night, just listening to the world. Birds are out there. What's not present is a wild turkey, which was just right out there. It's too far away to see, and is this stream clear? Because I'm outside of my Wi-Fi field by, outside of it just a little bit. So it would be nice to know if the stream was clear. So if you're still there, Viola, please let me know if the stream is still clear. And anyways, let me see if I can find some other poetry. I do have more poetry here. I got my my tablet, and I have some. Oh, maybe we'll try here. A little poetry. Reading poetry outdoors. It's like getting close to. Hi, Parth. Is the stream clear or is it pixelated? I really would like to know. I'm going to read another poem here. This poem is titled, Monsters Have Blue Eyes. Are you okay? He asked. I looked away, haunted. A meaningless count of numbers jumbled inside my head. If I bury the memory under a litany of fractions, sometimes it dulls the pain. A pale sun shines, shuttering the fragment into a moment. Music boiled and fumed. The trailer park reminds me. Faces contort like sun-stained mushrooms. Guilt crests my brow. I imagined callous hands and the caress of frost clambering between legs. Childlike, not knowing what to do, I collapsed. I spent hours kneeling down on the floor, shuffling through scraps of paper. I uncovered a dozen books on how to breathe. I saw a bird seated on a tree alone. He had blue eyes. 9/10, 7/4, 1/3, 1. There are ways I keep falling, I answered. I am not here. Let's just turn the camera around so you can see what's out on the other side of the camera. So this is my backyard. Let's see if I can swivel this thing around without it being jerked. Oh, did you see a bird just flew by? There are some swallows that are... Okay, that doesn't work. Maybe it's this one here. There we go. Got some swallows. And I got some garden plants right over there that I need to plant. I was going to do that today, but I ran out of time. These are pear trees. Going over there. I'm going to plant some plants over here. And my burn pile's got a bunch of greenery and stuff on it. Anyways, that's great outdoors. If we just listen quiet, the birds are talking. The birds are talking right now. You got some whippoorwills. And some little chitter-chattering. There's a swallow just right up here. Let's see if we can get to it. Swallow, and it has a nest nearby, right there. Right up here is a swallow. Let's see if I can get it close in. Yeah. Just a little tiny blue bird. Can you see it up there? It's moving around a little bit. Anyways, its mate just flew around. The whippoorwill was speaking. You know, Henry David Thoreau talks a lot about the whippoorwill. The whippoorwill, it's the sound it makes. In his book, Walden, the thing I remember the most about Walden, or it's in there someplace, I haven't been able to find it. I went through the book a few times on an audio book about 15 years ago. And one of the things that kind of stood out about it was Thoreau talking about the need that each generation should be writing its own scriptures. I'm going to turn the camera around so maybe that works better for people. That each generation should write its own scriptures. You know, and I kind of believe that. I believe that because, you know, in some sense, you know, you got like the end time literature in the Bible, and every generation is trying to apply this end time literature to their generation. And they've been doing this for a couple thousand years. And I kind of look at it and see that end time literature was about the past and not the present. And I talked about this in one of my after church chats a little bit. And we have and I'm speaking from a Judeo-Christian viewpoint. I come out of that tradition. I was born into the Lutheran Church, and then I became a Catholic, and now I'm a lapsed Catholic and Christian. But the training, because I did do a lot of religious studies, and I studied the Bible, not extensively. There are people who studied it more extensively, but I did study it in my past. And I really have come to the conclusion that I think that the Bible, a lot of that stuff just applies to yesterday. And I kind of take the whole Thomas Jefferson approach. And Thomas Jefferson, I have a copy of the Thomas Jefferson Bible in my Kindle. I don't have it in, but the Thomas Jefferson went through the Bible and he cut out all the miracles. He cut out the virgin birth. He cut out the magi. He cut out all the magic. He cut out the miracles, the turning the wine and the water into wine, the loaves and the fishes, the resurrection, and the second and the return. He cut all of that crap out and just focused on the teachings of Jesus. And I think that's kind of really sound advice to ignore everything else and just, what did Jesus teach? And what did Jesus teach? To love one another. Be kind to your neighbor. Welcome the stranger into your house. Be a welcoming person. Don't throw stones at people you don't understand. You know, there's all kinds of people in the world, and it's important to be nice and be kind to people. And that's what Jesus taught. That's essentially what he taught. He didn't say that you need to worship me. He never said that. And so you don't have to worship him. Maybe I'm leading somebody astray by saying this, that you don't need to worship Jesus, but you study his teachings, and then if they resonate with you, you follow those. But maybe the teachings of Buddha are more. Maybe those ones resonate with you more, and follow them. Or maybe if it's like Gnosticism and all the different levels of the gods and so forth, or paganism or whatever. But whatever your moral code is, that if that's what makes sense to you, that's what makes sense to you. And so with that being said, you have that in our spiritual lives, in the church it talks about works and faith. And, I guess faith is very important to have a belief system that you can cling to when times are hard. And then, you pray, and you feel this spiritual closeness, and everybody, regardless of what their religious philosophical path is, will experience something like that. So it's kind of a universal thing. It's a universal thing out there. Then we come back to Thoreau. I'm sure that Thoreau was influenced by Thomas Jefferson, because Thoreau was like 1840, I think it was. He wrote Walden Pond in 1845. Thomas Jefferson was like 30 or 40 years old in 1776. He was I think he was a Renaissance thinker. Granted, he was a slaveholder, but lots of people were slaveholders. I had people in my family who were slaveholders, because I'm a descendant of John Howland and Elizabeth Tilley, and they came over on the Mayflower in 1621, and so it goes back. And then I have like my cousins. I think I'm like a 13th or a 14th great grandson of John Howland, and I look at all the cousins that I have that I've never met, but I just seen them. You seen them on the family tree or off the family tree, or you look through the John Howland Society and you see these people, like Franklin Delano Roosevelt and the last two George Bush presidents. So George W. Bush is a 13th great grandson of John Howland, and so actually he's older than I am. So he's like my dad's age. So I guess I'm probably a 14th great grandson of John Howland and Elizabeth Tilley. And then also on that John Holland line is Joseph Smith, the father of the Mormon religion. And my family line, and so in my direct family line, there was some very close associations to Joseph Smith, but Joseph Smith is not on my direct family line. But anyways, that scripture is being rewritten right there with the Book of Mormon, and all of that stuff going on. Scripture is being rewritten, and then I think about that, the need to have your own sort of sacred literature for every time, because there's a nugget of that truth that is the same. And from a mystic viewpoint, the experience of the experience of being spiritual feels the same. It feels the same. There is a sameness to it. Welcome, John. Welcome. There's a sameness to it. And so, so in thinking about that and Thoreau and that need that we should be doing this, because by not doing this, we close the door to inspiration from source consciousness. By saying the Bible is it, that's it. There's no other holy works out there. There's nothing else. We've just closed the door to God. We closed the door to that type of inspiration, that to be inspired to having new knowledge. We close the door to it by saying that you can't add any more to it, or you can't subtract anything from it. And so that's my opinion anyway. Maybe I'm wrong, yeah, and I'll end up burning in hell, but I don't really believe there is a hell. I do think, the Catholic purgation thing, I think that's probably right. You pass, and then you get pulled across a cheese grater, and every wrongdoing and thing that you did, every way that you hurt your brothers and sisters, you get grated right off of you, and so that's probably what that whole purgation period is, and so that might be what, but maybe there is an eternal damnation, but I just can't fathom that could possibly be true. And so I guess I go through my life in these other years, not dwelling on that, or not dwelling on the end times literature, because the end time literature, I think, really, like I said, I think it's about the past. It's all about the past. And so I don't know my zodiac, but we are now in the transition between the age of Pisces and the age of Aquarius. And so every 2,000 years, we move from one age to another as the Earth, there's the precession and everything happens. And so we're going into the age of Aquarius. And so we are in an end times period right now. Right now, we are in one, and there's all kinds of crap going on in the world. Maybe it'll even out and it'll get better, but who knows? Maybe it's always been like this. Because I can remember in reading in history that the pilgrims, my forefathers and ancestors who came to this land, they believed that the world had gone to hell, and that's why they needed to escape. Well, one of the reasons they needed to escape the old world and come to the new world, so they could start over and start over. But they believed that that the world was was damn, or whatever they believe. They believed it. And people believe the same damn thing about every single generation. Every generation people feel the same way, and they feel like, okay, they get older like me, and they look back into the past when they're kids, and oh, it was so much better in the past. But then the statistics show that it's getting better. Things are getting better. You know, the whole notion of life being sacred and the sanctity of life, people today act more out of that sense that life is sacred and life is that it is worth something, that there's life is worth it. People are sacred, or that they are worth living. It's worth living more so than in the past. And maybe things are rough now. Yes, things are rough, and we're going through stuff, and we're going to go through some stuff in this country, and we're going to get that cheese grater is going to come right over the top of us, and we're going to go through some crap here, and it's not just in the United States. It's people all over the world go through a bunch of crap, and especially for the ones who are the principal drivers of the economy, where the Western powers, where they go into the global South and they extract the wealth out of the people. Those people, they're going through stuff, and they've been going through stuff. And then we over here in the global West, we often don't think about the stuff that they go through. And I'm just talking stuff here. I'm talking stuff that's, we don't really think about it much. Don't think about the lives of people who live in Africa. We don't think about the lives of people who live in South America. We don't think about the lives of the people who live in South Asia, or like in like Indonesia or the Philippines. I've talked with people from the Philippines before. There's no social safety net in the Philippines. And people live in multi-generational households for the most part, but then, people, there is no welfare, there is no food stamp, there is no Social Security or anything like that. They don't have that. But so they have to do things the old way, which is you live, you have lots of people living in a house. Hi, welcome. And so that we have to, yes, perfect cell, welcome, and people take care of each other. I remember you. So yeah, and so I'm just sitting outside. I'm gonna be on for a few more minutes, and then I gotta pull my yard tools up and put them away so they don't get lost in the dark. But anyways, in these other parts of the world, people, they have to rely more heavily on one another in order to survive. And then, in the United States, it's easy to... Anyway, I don't know. I'm just talking life. And the fact is, I'm just saying that stuff's getting better, because that's what, at least in my world, even in this world, when I'm talking about this world, I'm messing in the Western world. Things are better now than they were in the past. And so when people talk about the world is going to hell, it's not true, because even violence, there's far less violence now than there was 100 years ago, or 200 years ago, or 500 years ago. I'm doing good. Yeah, I remember you when I was doing the moon painting. I remember your the perfect cell, because I saw your, and you came in also, I think, when I was talking with some guests, but I didn't acknowledge you because when I'm talking to guests, I have a hard time keeping track of the chat. But nevertheless, I'm just talking about stuff I know, and you know, we're just going through stuff. We're just going through stuff, and people in every single generation go through stuff. But what I was saying is that with every generation, things have been getting better. Now it's easy, it's easy to slip into depressive states, and I've been down there. I've been down there deep in that depression. In my mid to late 20s, I was in a depressive episode for almost a decade following a major heartbreak, and I almost didn't survive it. I almost didn't survive that heartbreak, that depression, but I did. I kept going forward and going to bed at night, getting up in the morning, going to work, breathing in and out. Went to church. I don't know if the church helped. I've had my tenuous prayer relationship most of my life. But actually, even though I haven't been to Mass since like the end of 2019, the very first part of 2020, that's the last time I went. But then and though my mom's church is on Zoom, and yeah, my mom, I look after my mom. She's 85, and her church, which is a church I grew up in, is on Zoom. And so every Sunday I turn the Zoom on, and I do listen in with what the pastor talks about, and those things every week. I don't always pay attention, and that's true. Because I do have my own ideas about things, and sometimes I'm pretty damn skeptical about things. Pretty skeptical. Anyways, I've been kind of preaching a little bit here and talking about stuff. And mainly I wanted to kind of talk more about how, and I'll talk more about this in the future too, because I think I'm going to do more of these types of talks as I move 999 show more into talk show territory. And I might, when I replace my phone, and if I could come up with like $10 a month, I might pay for some streaming software, and because one of my buddies wants me to start going on Twitch, and I think I might want to try simulcasting from YouTube when I do like the painting and the stuff like that. Simulcasting, if I can. I don't know if I have the bandwidth on one of these telephones to do that practice, but in order to do that, I have to end a relationship that I have with Microsoft, that $16 a month that I'm paying for access to software that I do not even use. I need to end that relationship, and so that'll free up some money. Yeah, well, that's what I was. That's what I was thinking. Is I had thought about that about a year ago. Is to go onto a second platform, but I wanted to simulcast from YouTube into that other platform. And I have my other channel, my other YouTube channel, that I'm trying to get it up to the place to where I can live stream, so I can live stream doing tarot readings and stuff like that. Because that's, I have with my Christian faith, I have no conflicts with using divination. Maybe, but anyways. So my other channel, Tools of Fortune, it sits at 46 subs. It needs to be at 50 so I can live stream. I was hoping it would go faster than it did, but all things happen in God's time. They don't happen in my time, they happen in God's time. Hi, Kaz. Welcome. Welcome, Kaz. So it's getting dark. I'll just go turn the camera around so you can see my backyard a little bit. And the birds have gone into their nests and they're not squawking anymore. So let's go turn the camera around for you guys. Oh, you can hear it, the whippoorwill. And I need to get that microphone. I got a wireless microphone. I'm on a chain microphone right now with a windsock on it, but and get that wireless one. Family farm. Yeah, I have a dog, and there's a cat the little cat that moved into my barn from the neighbors, and I don't know if I want like 30 cats soon here, which is going to happen. And so I was working on this area down here because I'm going to put some plants in it. I got some plants. They got to go out of their little tiny. So on there, those are the rest of my garden plants. Cattle, perfect. So the cattle belongs to the family that owns this valley. So I have a 3.5 acres here. And see, there's a pole out there. That's the property line. And it goes clear down to the creek, to the center of the creek. And then it goes around here, and then it goes a little bit more. I got some potatoes. I'm going to try to plant those in the ground. And it goes down about there, and then a little bit beyond, and that's the property. And I've let some of it go wild. All of this stuff down there is stuff that I let go wild. No horses. When I was a kid, Perfect Cell, my dad was from Portland. My mom grew up in this area. This area here was not exactly right here, but over that way, a few miles, this area here was a destination point to the West Coast Trail of Tears. Like in the 1860s, the U.S. military force marched 23 tribes to this area, and so just over that hill there is a casino, and I used to work at that casino. I worked at that casino for almost a decade. My dad worked there for about 10 years. The last 10 years of his working career, he worked there and retired from there. And half my neighbors that live in this area work for the tribe. Actually, more than half, because there's a lot of them that are tribal themselves. I'm not tribal, but welcome, Mama Sushi, and welcome. And for the Perfect Cell, yeah, welcome. And so I'm not tribal, but I have cousins. I have first cousins that are. And so yeah. But anyways, I had my dad. He was a full-blood Swede, and his parents were like first and second generation Americans. Actually, my dad was kind of a combo of first generation and a second generation. So his dad was a first generation American, and his mom was an immigrant to America from Sweden. And when he moved out to this area and started a lumber mill, and he bought into a lumber mill. He bought into a little small hardwood mill. And having lived in the city all of his life, he wanted the full country life, and so there was goats, and there was goats, and there was chickens, there was rabbits, there was ducks, there was geese, and then there was cows, and there was pigs. And so when I was growing up, I had enough of those farm animals, and I really don't have, I have garden plants, and I have a dog, and that's all the farm animals I want. And I have wild birds that come in, and then the neighbors' cows that graze on my property. So they maintain that grass. Anyway, that's my story. So that's it, and I'll come back, and eventually I'm gonna do an outdoor painting soon. I hope that this stream was clear. I really hope it was. I don't, if it was pixelated. If it's pixelated, then I probably won't do this again. But anyways, it hasn't froze yet, I've seen. But anyways, that's all I got for today. Welcome, Wendy Lloyd, welcome. And this is just a evening first summer. It's not quite summer yet, but it's close enough. First day of summer to me, outdoor live stream, and I'm going to be doing a lot more of these. That's all I got to say. But the painting ones are going to come soon. I was just waiting until I got the wireless mic to work. I can't get it to work with this damn phone. And I think I need to replace the phone, actually, because it's like every time I go into it, every app except for the YouTube app that I go into, I have to restart the phone before I can even access it. So if it's like I'm going into my accounts, I got to restart the phone. Or if Wendy, what that hat? My mom won the hat like 30 years ago at the Oregon State Fair. So she went to the Oregon State Fair. Her and Dad, they went to the Oregon State Fair. I think I was living like 4 towns over from here at that time. 4 or 5 towns over from where I grew up, and so I'm now living where I grew up. I never thought I would live where I grew up. I was living in Seattle, and I never wanted to leave Seattle, and then I ended up having to come back. But that's the way life is. Nevertheless, so my mom was at the Oregon State Fair, and they had a Hormel spam booth at the state fair, and she answered this questionnaire and got every question right, and they awarded her with this hat. And then, like 3 years ago, Mom was going through her closet, and she found it, and it was brand new hat, and it was like, oh yeah, I said, yeah, I want that, because I'm not a sports person, but I wear hats because I'm getting older and I'm losing my hair, and if I could wear a toupee and get away with it, I would wear a toupee. But but I'm not one of them guys that is gonna shave his head, because I just can't do it. I just can't do it. I like my hair too much. So you entered a spam was on at the county fair, but you didn't win. Yeah. I like hats. I don't. When I was younger and I had a beard and before my hair turned gray, and I had a beard, and then I wore a I'll show you. I think I have a picture of that. I wore a hat that made me look like I was a Jew. I do have, I like that. I like that look at that time in my life. It made me look like a. Let's see if we can get some of these, one of those pictures here. So during that time, if I have one of those with that hat when I was younger. Well, I really pride myself in my hair. Yeah, you're 1/3 Jewish. Yeah, my 3%. When I did I'm pretty proud. Yeah, mine was at one time on my ancestry test. It was like at 1%, and then the next time they recalculated, it went down to 0%. And so it was like, okay, all right. Get this picture. This was me during that phase, and I guess it's all washed out picture-wise, but that was a cowboy hat that I used to wear, and I still have it, and you can't really see. It's all with, screen against screen. It doesn't look very good, but you can kind of see my beard and that hat, and you see also, like, during that time, Mama Sushi, when I was living up in Seattle, wearing the hats like that, and because, like, on Capitol Hill there, it was all these churches, and there was, like, synagogues, and occasionally I'd walk by the synagogue. This one time I was walking by the synagogue, and there was a guy, he had, like, a TV tray, kind of a little sandwich board or whatever, something out on the sidewalk right in front of the synagogue. And he says, "So when was the last time you went to synagogue?" And I says, probably like 600 years ago. I think that's about right. 500-600 years ago, when my people were forced to convert to Catholicism, or actually they were Lutheran for a long, long time. So that part of my family was Lutheran probably for like 500-600 years, maybe longer. Well, actually, you can't be Lutheran for longer than since like 1400. So what is that? 14? That's like 15, 16, 15. Yeah, it's about 600 years since the Reformation. So yeah, about that. You can say that they been Lutheran. That part of the family has been Lutheran for almost like 500-600 years. It's about that, because it was 1421. Was that right? 14. Oh shit, I can't remember. Anyways, and so the Lutheran ties and the Catholic ties, that's so strongly, that whole liturgy thing, that whole thing of liturgical worship is so deeply ingrained in my bones. And so it's like becoming an evangelical. I could not do it because I am just so, it's that I just feel that. That's what I like the Mass. I don't particularly like the theology of the church, but I like the Mass. I like the Mass. And though it's been since 2019, 2020, since I last went to Mass, but I still have such fond memories of the Mass. And maybe I'll never go to the Mass. I probably will, but who knows? It doesn't really matter. But I still just love the Mass. And anyways, that's all I got for you guys. I just yapping, and it's getting dark, and I need to put my lawn tools away, electric cords and all that stuff before the stars come out. And yeah, good night. Thank you guys very much. Thank you, everyone. And if anyone pushed the like and the sub button, thank you. And if somebody can feel within their heart to go over to my other channel, Tools of Fortune, and push the sub button. That would be great too, to get, so I get myself up to that 50 sub mark so I can start live stream tarot reading, which I'm getting, well, I want to do, but at the same time I'm kind of afraid to start doing that, going out on my own like that. But nevertheless, that's also a part of my life, and doing that is a part of my life, along with this other stuff is a part of my life. And I want to share that with you, that and my painting and whatever. And so thank you guys very much, and blessings and peace to you. And I'll be back on soon. I have family coming over this weekend, so I'm not going to be doing any after church chat on Sunday. That's not going to happen, and I will probably do a Friday and a Saturday night live stream, some kind of a painting thing. If I can, I got a clean house, so I don't know how much. I would like to be able to do an afternoon one, like a painting one outside, but that ain't gonna happen. So, anyways, it'll be. But I will try to post something in that 12:21 spot. But I don't know. It probably won't happen. That probably won't happen either. So it's just hard to do content creation when you have family coming over to your house. Anyways, thank you very much, and I'll see you all later. I will be back on doing a live stream painting probably tomorrow night. Definitely tomorrow night. And yeah, it is hard when family comes over. And anyways, that's all I got. It's getting dark, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.